Hello. It's January 3rd, 2023. I was corrected once already today, 2023. It's a SIG Node weekly meeting. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year and happy whatever holidays you celebrated. I want to kick off meeting by stating the number of pull requests currently active. It's 205 on SIG Node. Over the weekend, over the holidays, we had not too many created, like 45, and a few closed and merged. Out of closed PRs, I noticed few that were adding and improving tests that were stuck on needs rebase and author never came back. So if you're interested in some some ideas what to improve in tests, look at this closed PRs and maybe you can fish out something interesting that you can pick up and continue. With that, I want to go to the next item is CRI API. So I can, okay, so there is, do you want me to share my screen? I will share my screen really quick. So, yeah, do you see my screen now? I hope yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, this is a PR that I submitted sometime last year. I created a document trying to explain how versioning of gRPC protocols, proto files APIs will be implemented, but this led me to some strange paths because you never know what compatibility is supposed to be between different versions. That's why I wanted to concentrate on specifically CRI API and what compatibilities we had. This discussion also was caused by contributing summit where we had discussions of future of CRI API and what's coming next. Plus, we had we have a new thing in like I don't remember this happened before. We have incompatibility with one of the versions of Containerd that currently active with 1.5. So previous release, like that 126 that we just released, cannot work with 125 because we switched CRI API version. This all led me to creating this explanation how CRI API may be versioned and backward, like what kind of compatibility we expect. I would encourage everybody to read through and give feedback on like whether this is what we want to implement and also whether this will be okay with for the velocity of feature development. Today, we have very interesting thing when CRI API is in tree with Kubernetes and runtimes may not want to take dependency on intermediate version of CRI API because they want to have a stable version. And we cannot ship stable version before the Kubernetes will reach a stable version. That's why we have this interesting release schedule when we need to release Kubernetes first, and then we need to release a runtime version supporting this new changes in CRI API, and only then we can connect them both together to work together. We have examples of that in with in-place vertical autoscaling, where we need to update Containerd to use a version like beta version of CRI API, and this is what I documented here. But this also implies that beta version of CRI API also needs to be stable, and we need to be very careful with that. So yeah, if you have interest in this topic, please read through and leave comments, and we can discuss it in PR. If you have comments right now, please speak up.
Sorry, what are you trying to close on this one? I'm trying to think why something seems off about this to me, but my brain isn't yet catching up to my emotion. And so, is this something you want to close on when?
There is no specific timeline. I know that there may be some features in the pipeline. And again, I'm also coming back from long holidays, and it may not be, I may not remember all the caps that are currently in pipelines that will need CRI API changes. But what I want to lock on is that our release schedule, like our velocity with updates for CRI API is what documented here. So you cannot run faster than is documented here.
Do you have
And
something in here
specifically,
that maps that to feature gate progression generally in Kubernetes?
yes, I think, yeah, this is recommended feature development flow. And once we said that this is a flow, it will be easier to comment. Like I remember SIG networking was very, I mean, they didn't like the situation when they need 3 releases to ship a feature. They just needed 1 extra field to be populated, but then they need to go through progression of many releases to have this field added, then container runtime taking dependency on this field, and then finally combining these 2 together. I just outlined this like fastest development feature flow is looking like that. So this is what I outlined here.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't have it open in front of me, but does this include like transition of like a kube feature gate from alpha, beta to GA separately from, say, how we might label something in the CRI?
No, I didn't include that, but it may be a good idea.
Yeah, because I was just trying to think.
Mostly, yeah.
I was trying to think through like if there's any intersection there that we could call out. I know that in-place resource resizing, for example, went through we need CRI changes, and then we can't have the alpha feature gate. And then I was trying to think through going forward on this, what we would do as we progress that to beta. Must the CRI change be GA, or can it be beta, or can the feature gate not go GA until it reached a certain maturity in the CRI? But again, like I said, like you, I've been out for a few weeks and my brain is tired. But that's the one thing I think would be useful for us to have if it's not there.
Yeah, and another goal I had here is declaring the versions queue policy. Once we have a versions queue policy, what CRI version Kubernetes needs to support, then we may need to improve our testing. And with testing, there are some ideas like what can be improved. And one idea maybe is that, I mean, we just need to make sure that Kubernetes can function with a version of CRI that is supported. So if we support 3 versions back, then we need to support 3 versions back and test it somehow. And from testing perspective, we can run some tests in with a proxy of CRI, maybe that will strip out all the unknown fields and do something crazy like that.
So I think, like, Sergey, the one where we'll have to give more thought is the how much backwards compatibility we want to support here, because this is different from the API and the node, and like kubelet and container runtime can go more in sync with each other. So I think I'll have to give more thought, basically. Just off the top.
Yeah, definitely. If you have any thoughts, please comment.
I have some thought. I will try to formalize it in a comment, but would like to share it right now. So practically for CRI changes, we can split it into 2 big buckets. Like one is information sharing from the kubelet down to runtime, like to use something. An example was like summary APIs or pod overhead API, what was added for Kata containers. So those usually doesn't really require any kind of skills. But there are some changes which require like request and reply from runtime. And if we start to use the version for that, we might end up very soon in with like very big numbers with it. And I'm not sure what it's really where we want to do. We can try to use some approach what was used in the device plugins APIs when the capabilities was exposed, what like some things are supported or not supported. And like while the feature is in alpha beta, it probably can be reported as with additional capabilities. So a kubelet can react like in invoking those calls or not invoking those calls. But when the feature is GA, then probably just require like version bump.
I generally agree with that. My only point is that it shouldn't break kubelet. So if container runtime is a little bit older, but not that much old, something that we supposed to be working on, it still needs to not crash and work. I mean, function reasonably well, and maybe capabilities is one of the way to implement it. I just wanted to make sure that we agree on SKU that we need to support.
Yeah, my point was what, like if a kubelet on the like first negotiation phase between runtime and kubelet detects what some capabilities not existing, for example, like in place vertical scaling, when it will just say, sorry, I don't support this feature and do nothing. Something like that.
One thing that I discovered is we added this pinned flag to images that we downloaded, and Cryo, I think, implemented this pinned Boolean flag for pose image. It's mostly for sandbox images, but Containerd had this PR stack. So today it's another capability. When you query the list of images, it will return the list, but it will not set this Boolean flag on pose image. So kubelet will attempt to clean up, like to garbage collect this pose image when it uses Containerd. So this, I mean, this may also be implemented as capability, but I mean, I think better way is to just not crash kubelet and just like, okay, we cleaned up the pose image, but then we'll re-download it again. So I'm not sure we need capability for every single change that we make in Containerd. That I'm trying to say. Okay. Yeah, if you have more feedback, please comment there. And Sasha, thank you for slides and presentation you made on the Contributor Summit. It was very, very interesting. Next item I have stricken out, it's update SIG Node teams. I didn't realize we have GitHub teams that also needs to be updated corresponding to owners files. And now we cleaned them up. So PR was merged. Yay. All the teams are up to date. Vinay, is Vinay on the call? Nope. Okay.
Looks like they are, but muted still.
Oh, yeah, I see. Vinay.
Sorry, yeah, I was muted. I'm sorry. Happy 2023. Can you hear me?
Yes, and you too.
Okay,
Happy New Year, Vinay.
Happy New Year, guys. Okay, so yeah, interesting discussion on the CRI API. I was listening in on it, and I think it does need to be, there is some thought to be given there. I'm starting to think about what would in-place pod resize do in case we have a Containerd that doesn't support it. Previously, I think we have, at least for the client side, we have this notion of we support N-2. So if you're in version 126, then you need to support clients that are 2 versions below. And we got around that requirement for our own GA by increasing the GA by N+1, N-2 plus 1. So essentially, if we go alpha in 127, GA will be 130 onwards. That strategy, I don't know if that's helpful. That gives you enough runway for, it avoids a lot of complexity in the code by having to support down level. I don't know if that can be an employable strategy for CRI. Anyways, that's something to think about.
Yeah. We also need to support for upwards as well, because Containerd may run forward and the kubelet is still 2 versions back.
Yes. If the Containerd has more features than kubelet, then it's never going to invoke that yeah, the point is there. So from containers perspective, it can support kubelet 2 levels down. So it's one more condition to add to our pieces in the puzzle.
Yeah, but
Writing backward compatibility.
we need to take into account the release schedule of containerd. So right now we have two branches, 1.6, which is stable and production use, but it means that not that many new features will be added there. And we have 1.7, which has like a lot of new features,
Yes.
but less stable.
Okay, switching to 1.7 will essentially involve a major testing for 2 versions below. I kind of see that happening. But yeah, this has gotten me thinking a little bit. I'll give it more thought. At least from the in-place pod resize perspective, what would happen? Previously, I think we vaguely discussed, I vaguely remember discussing that, okay, if the containerd runtime doesn't support it, then we fail kubelet. I believe that was one of the resolutions we reached. It could work. It's drastic, but a better version, better way might be to see if there is some way you can signal, hey, this runtime that you're using doesn't support in-place resize. I don't know if there is an easy way to do that at this point.
So we had introduced like some standardized CRI errors, right? So maybe at the CRI level itself, we can return a status code saying this is not implemented, right? Because we have to add the stubs anyways.
Yes.
So if we have that not implemented error code, then the kubelet
Yes.
can react and it will be kind of standardized.
Yeah, in this case, we'll bubble the error back through the status field.
Right.
I hope. It'll sit as in progress, and then if it fails, then we need to see. This is something I need to think about for in-place resize. Anyways, getting to the topic of getting the PR merged for alpha. Over the past month, I think I spent a little bit of time rebasing on a periodic basis, and saw that. Thank you, David Porter, for helping getting the test up and running. We now have full E2E test with that containerd merge that we did in the test repo, test infra repo, and the PR 102884 is passing the test. I have kicked off the test on rebasis multiple times, and it has a history of successful runs that you can see in the link there. And there is also a problem where while we were developing that test, some other PRs which are unrelated picked it up because our filters were pretty broad. We were picking up on changes in the kubelet runtime folders, and that's kind of affecting other PRs a little bit. So I'm hoping that we will be able to merge the first PR soon, which is the API changes only, 111946. And I'm wondering if we can do it this week. I don't know how we stand from the release perspective, but if Derek has already approved 102884, then 111946 is a subset of that. I need to just ping Tim Hawkin to give a LGTM on that, and Derek has already looked at it in the 102884 reviews. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. You'll be gated by someone who can do approve at that directory, which Tim, if he's around, should be able to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a timeline problem. The release team I saw this morning sent out a note on timelines for the upcoming release, and yeah, we have plenty of runway.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty confident that I'm 80% confident that we won't create much ruckus here with merging the main PR, but merging the API PR and just watching it for a week or so to see that nothing bad happens is a fairly safe strategy from my standpoint, and makes it easier to merge the second PR as well, because a lot of the generated files equation is taken out of the picture from that.
Yeah, so let me comment on the PR that this looks good to me, and then Tim can hopefully approve.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. So I'll ping Tim separately after you comment on it, and then see if we can get it merged this week, even though the enhancement itself is not yet tracked.
I think that deadline is in Feb. So I think, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna get tracked.
Yeah, it'll get tracked.
Yeah,
We'll,
sure.
so I hope that doesn't stop us from merging it until the enhancement gets tracked. If we do it now, then it's better because this PR has been there for a while. It's baked, at least on its own, standing alone. It has been baked quite well over many rebases. And so far, I didn't have to make major code changes on rebases, especially on the API side. There's some of the commits that are there are still sitting from November 2021, the initial, and then latest commit from June 2022, after which Tim looked at it and LGTM, they haven't changed at all due to rebases. So it's pretty safe. It's a low risk change at this point. Merging it will help reduce the churn and have others pick up on the new changes that are coming. Okay, thanks, Derek. That's pretty much all I had for this point. We do need to add the periodic CI jobs that can come in after the feature gate is merged, which is the API PR.
Great. Thank you, Vinay. I think I believe this person called Mufi. Are you on a call? No, I don't see Mufi in the list of participants. I think the bug was that when the pod being deleted twice, first with a big grace period and second with a very short grace period, Kubernetes changed the behavior over in 121 from killing second time immediately to killing second time after waiting for first grace period timeout. And I think the request here is to look at this PR. I'm not sure anybody looked at it because it was November 14th. Interesting. Yeah, I think some feedback. Okay, so yeah. Please take a look if you have any time for that. I think that's all the request here. So again, bug is that second time when we delete pods, that pod will still wait for first grace period timeout. I think this behavior is not ideal.
So I think like the change was that if you start with a higher timeout and then when you come back later and you reduce the timeout, the new timeout should be respected. Because I remember like Clayton introduced that and we had to make changes in the runtime. So maybe there's some bug there which is breaking that behavior. So the behavior described makes sense, but yeah, we can take a look and see what regrets there.
Yeah, definitely. And let me take a look. I remember not seeing tests there, but maybe they were added later. Oh yeah, tests are now here. And sorry, 2023. Yay! Okay. I don't remember whether I looked at it before. I think I did. Now need to double check. Okay. Is there any more topics on agenda today? Going once, going twice. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year again. Welcome to new bright year, and hope that it will be better than previous one. Let's get half an hour back. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Thanks, Sergey.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.